Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Reel Down. I'm your host, Jimmy Skinner. With me, as always, Dan the Fisherman Perry. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
You know, I was about to start reorganizing the whole bait wall, but I have sat and stared at it long enough that nothing has happened. I bought all sorts. I found a bait shop in Coleman I'd never heard of, and they have like internet pricing.
Oh,
So I bulk bought a lot of stuff, and now I have to figure out how to get it up here.
I need some bulk baits.
Well, if you need Cinco's, Shelton's, clothing, Molten, $3.99 a pack right now. And if you need basically anything else, Mary Carter and Coleman, I got epic crap load of Kitex for $5.99 a pack. So
I like it. You know what? I really like Coleman. That's a cool little city. Good little lakes. Good town.
The town, like all the shopping and everything, really cool. That's kind of where that place is. It's a little hardware store, and to only be like 15 feet wide and like, whatever feet long, 50, 60 feet. They have everything. Huge Megabass section, huge Z-Man, a lot of Zoom, Kitech, killer setup. And I went through a bunch of tackle this weekend, so it was time to reload.
I hear you. And speaking of Coleman, you did good in the Coleman tournament this weekend. Got second.
Came down there with no pre or anything, and showed them that the North Alabama kayak angler guys can keep up with them. No, it was fun. It was a lake that I've only been to. That was my third time. Duck River Reservoir. Yeah. Had no aspirations because this time of year it's offshore ledges and stuff, and I don't know how to do any of that. I mean, you've helped me. What I know you've helped me with, and I kind of just decided last minute to go down there and play around, and I did pretty good. I think I had 54 and a quarter or something for my best three, which, I mean, that was enough for second.
I mean, that would have been, it was just Chuck had like a mega bag. It wasn't, that wasn't that you didn't have a great bag. He just had a crazy.
No, he had that one kicker. That's the one thing I've always not liked about three fish tournaments is that one good kicker just throws you out ahead of everybody. Yeah. Like if you took his kicker out, I had better consistent fish, I think, because I caught enough 16s to fill everybody in that tournament's limit, I think. And I had a 17 flop off the board because I'm an idiot. But it was still a good day. I did something I completely didn't really have any confidence in. Grinded it out all day, and cashed a little check. It was cool. Yeah. But I did. I went through. I think that my line, because I use braid to leader on everything, I think my line is finally old enough and need to toss it because I've never broken off as much as I broke off that day. One of the Coleman guys can attest to. I think I broke off 3 big fish right there with him. I broke a hook in half. I've never done that before.
Dang.
I got a bite, had a bait swim off, snapped the hook in half. Never done that. And they're good hooks. Gamakatsu super lines. They're not garbage. Yeah, for all the things I did wrong, I did something right, I guess. So yeah, but it was a good weekend.
Good job.
What about you? Did you get out fishing any?
Yeah, I just went and practiced. Saturday we did family stuff. Sunday I went and practiced for the KFL tournament this weekend. But
I know that you sent a really good picture. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was a good one. But my guys KFL, they went down on the Coosa Kingfishers. Jordan, Joe, Nick, and Lance, they went down to Seminole and had a great 199 inches 10 fish stringer. Yeah, they had a
nice.
It was it was the best. Like, I know a lot of people don't follow a KFL. If it's not your thing, that's fine. But I had more fun watching. I obviously have a vested interest in it, but watching it, scores went back and forth like 10 times. They had 193, I think. I mean, it was only Jordan at the very end of the day had like a 21 something, and that was really what put
Jordan Marshall.
Yeah,
and shout out Jordan.
Yeah, man, it was like so much fun to watch online. So if you can get into a team, it is like kind of watching a sports team. You know, I had a lot of fun, and it's all live. You know, you can watch a whole thing live online, same time. You can really get into it. It's kind of like watching bass live, except with worse reception.
Worse reception, and they don't make as much money.
No money, but
yeah, it's whatever.
So far.
Well, it sounds like it was a good fishing weekend all around. Yeah. There was a shitload of tournaments that we're going to cover at the end, and I don't think I can remember a time I've ever seen this many tournaments with 90-inch bags. So I guess hot and extremely humid, because that's been stretching across the entire United States right now. I know all our Illinois folks up there are dying, wusses. This is how we live summer. But yeah, so by the title, if you're clicking on this or checking it out, you already know we've got, someone that does not need any introduction. We'll bring him on right here. But the man on a tear that cannot be beat right now, Drew Gregory.
Yeah.
What is
I do not know what to say, guys. It's been, like you said, a tear, and it really does feel like a dream. I just don't know what to say. I mean, what you guys tell me? What would you say if you had won 3 in a row? At this point, what are you supposed to even say? I don't even know.
Yeah,
don't really know what to do.
The results speak for themselves. I mean,
that's about the best thing I could say. And other than that, is like, that was in God's hands, because I don't think I could do it any other way.
I mean, looking at Fishing Chaos here, I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, we obviously do this every week. I can't remember a time where somebody won Trail 1, Trail 2, Pro Series, and the Dakota Lithium Power Play. I can't. Maybe it's happened before, but I don't think I've ever looked at Fishing Chaos.
I want
to say Kayak Bass Fishing did an article recap, and I could look it up real quick. And there was a link, in Henry's article there was a link to, there was only one other time someone had swept both Trail Series events, but I don't think maybe the Pro Series was part of it. I don't know. We'll have to look and see.
No,
and then
I think
possibly not
it was either, and I could be completely wrong, but I want to say Russ or Cody did a trail sweep, but I don't, or maybe it was like day one in a Pro Series, but I don't think it's been a three-peat.
And the Dakota Lithium, the Power Play too. Like, I don't think I've seen all 4 at one time with one person.
I found his article, so I am curious now. I'm going to scroll and find that link. Only one angler has ever accomplished this. It is.
Yeah, and it's impressive either way.
Yeah. Is this? Oh, California. That's where it was.
Oh, they don't.
Looks like California. I can't remember
who
it was.
America.
Tasmua. I'm pulling that out of my ass just because he wins a lot.
I don't know. I can't find it. But
Taz, Damien, or
Damien Tao.
Yeah.
We're joking about they don't count. They've got some hammer anglers, and if gas wasn't through the roof and our country was a few thousand miles less width, I think it'd be great to have them all out here playing around with us and vice versa. I say us playing around with Drew because me and Dan suck. So,
well, here I'll go over the numbers though. Day 1 Trail Series, you had and both days were so close. 95 3/4. Jake Angelis had 95.5, and Nick Audie in third with 94 3/4. Day 2, you won 90 with 96.5. Mike Elsey had 96 1/4, and Derek Brundle with 95.5.
All names that you have to watch and worry about, especially on those bodies of water too. So,
and then the Pro Series, you won it with 192 1/4. Ryan Makowitz won it with 188. So overall, the 2-day total, it wasn't that close. 4 1/4. Alex Miller in third, and then you won the Power Play as well. So won some bonus money.
Yeah, it was like $10,300 and something. And I'm in the monthlies for New York and Vermont. I'm in first in New York and Vermont. I think I'm in second because the guy had like 105. And there's a little bit of money I think that comes with that. I've never done those monthlies before. If I end up there. So, I mean, it's probably around like $10,500, and I was competing against 88 anglers. So that kind of payout against those numbers, like just imagine, again, you got to buy into all of it, which is like $450 or something, or $425.
Still a hell of a return on investment.
It's an amazing return, man. Unreal. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm glad I did, obviously. So
for somebody that's doing this for a living, That's everything. That's amazing.
And for us people playing the fantasy game, Drew just kind of cheated on everybody. If you picked him, you're doing great.
You're too expensive. I mean,
that's not true.
One week you win, next week you win. You figure my dumbass be like, oh yeah, well, the 3 and I'm going to go ahead and pick Drew, but no, I didn't. He's too expensive. I'll never pick the people at the very top. Yeah, God dang it.
I'll be curious to see the standings come out.
Yeah. Lake Winnipesaukee is next. So
I've never fished there.
It doesn't really set up for any of my styles. I'll say that, but I never fished Grand Lake. I never fished Lewis Smith Lake. And, I ended up winning those. So who knows, man? I don't know what to tell you, but at this point,
I think you've proven you can't be counted out at any of them. So
yeah.
Maybe. I'm not going to try to like bad juju you into it. Maybe you don't win, but even if you don't, I don't think you'll do bad. So
yeah, well, I'll be perfectly fine not winning. Not trying to tell you that. It's getting to be a lot of attention, and I don't know almost how to handle it, because I don't know what to say. And I don't want anyone to like dislike me because like, man, I hate that guy. I always keeps winning. I don't want that, but at the same time, it's like
let them hate. Whatever. To heck with them people. No, man. Take their money. Go home. Feed that family.
Well, that's right.
True. You can still win second and third, and the money is still winning in fishing. So there can be lots of winners, I guess.
You don't fish them things for second. To heck with them.
No, you don't.
Take their money. Take it and smile.
That's right. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm hitting my stride and all this. You guys know I've really been doing this for 2019 I fished maybe 6-7 events, something like that. Got second in the national championship, did pretty good in all the other events. But then 2020 was supposed to be my year. I'm going to go all in on this tournaments. KBF had that 6-tournament pro series. I was going to do all that. I was going to do all the Hobies. COVID hits, messes our world up. I moved to Ohio with the family, moved from Jackson to Crescent later in that year. And I don't really get to fish any but the last 4 Hobies in a row, which, fortunately I ended up winning AOI with doing those last 3 in the championship. But, and I got to do the national championship and that's about it. I did, so I didn't do a lot, but so now think about that. Then 2021 is the real 2020 year. Like, okay, now I'm finally able to go all in, and I do have a good year. I'm in first place in AOI in the Trail Series Championship heading into the final day of the Trail Series Championship because they update the standings after day 1. I was 5th going into it, right?
Yeah.
And my motor blows up on me, and it glows orange in the dark, and it blows up on me. I can't get to where I'm going, where I had 94 and was in like 4th place in the national championship. And I get 78 inches or something and fall to like, 28th out of 130. Not bad, right? But you would think,
right,
well, surely you're not going to fall to like out of the 10 house or fall very far. Well, the way they set up that points, man, with 900
double
and
points,
9-point decrements, you're darn right I did. I fell all the way, even though I probably had the best season, technically. When they double those points, I don't really feel like it's a true Angler of the Year race anymore. It's kind of becomes Angler of the national championship weekend, but that's right. The way they set it up. And they're, that's now that I know that. Anyway, I get to say all this to say I'm always a happy and positive guy, but I was fuming about that because it's something that kind of was out of my control. How come it had to happen then? Okay, then fast forward 3-4 weeks later, the TOC is about to happen, and my wife and I find out she's gonna have to give birth 6 weeks early to our daughter, and I was in 2nd place at AOI heading into that to defend my AOI from 2020.
Like
so
double
I missed
points,
that. And now I'm
big points for that too, right?
Yeah. I mean, of course. And then when you're not there, you got no shot. And Jordan wins it from pretty far back, and there's no telling it. Obviously, if I would have won or not, but I was in 2nd place in the year I won. The year before I was in 3rd. So I say all this to say, like, I'm motivated inside. I'm like, I can't believe this freaking happened. I had both AOIs literally in my clutches, because Ewing, he only caught 4 fish one day, that TOC. And if I had a good TOC, I was in 2nd. I had the best chance. And Russ fished, unfortunately, an out of bounds area. He didn't know it was out of bounds. It got DQ'd. I mean, all these things, that. Like, no one was really like making a move, and it allowed Jordan to kind of jump up there, and good on him because he smashed him. He's a heck of an angler. Yeah. So I'm not saying anything, against Jordan. He earned it, but I was fuming inside, and I was like, I'm more motivated than ever. I'm starting to get this tournament thing down and learn it. I'd fished, around the country with the River Bassin Tournament Trail. I had some time on the water as I ran that trail. Hooked on Wild Water Show that I did for 5 seasons around the whole country. So I've learned how to catch the fish in all different parts of the country. I feel comfortable everywhere.
Like everything's leading up to this.
Yes. And then, because last year people may have forgot about me a little bit because I didn't win. I lost to a tiebreaker, one of the tournaments to Pickwick, to Ken Morris, my buddy. And that was cool. Happy for him. But it was all like, I was so close to so many things, winning that one, the Angler of the Years and all this that I was really wanting, striving for. And then I felt like I just got like forgotten about a little bit. And then it motivated me like crazy, guys. And so I ended up, using it as a positive motivation internally. And then combined with now I have a little history in some places, right? Because I got second on Champlain last year in the Hobie Bass Open Series. And I'm just getting better and hitting. I just feel like this run I'm kind of on, it's just a culmination of me hitting my stride in all this and figuring out that hooked on wild waters and river bassin, when I'm out there fishing for fun, the day before the tournaments, with you guys doing the tournaments back in the day, you're just floating, having a good time down the river. You're not in any time crunch element per se. Well, now this is a different ball game. It's a different game a little bit. So I knew how to catch them. Now, how do I catch them and maximize all that lake has in those rivers and creeks or whatever I'm fishing that tournament? How do I do that in a time crunch setting? Yeah. And so I've gotten it very dialed in, the whole system and plan. And this winter, I'll probably have I've done this some already, some virtual lessons with some folks. And I'll probably do like virtual group lessons or, tournament stuff, things like that, where people can come in, maybe 5 people at a time, get on StreamYard like this, go over map study, tournament prep, a lot of the stuff I do. And
sign me up.
Ask questions. Yeah.
Like
sure.
Fish the moment? Is that what?
Yeah, sort of like that. Yeah. Fish the moment. I don't know if I'm sure he does some private stuff like that.
He's one of the best electronics people I've ever seen, but he gets on some of his strides talking where I'm just like, I don't know what you meant. Like, he's just so smart, dude.
Yeah, he is. He is. Johnny is for sure.
Into it.
But anyway, yeah. I don't know where we're going to go now, but that was just kind of like.
That was a good lead into it.
I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. That makes sense because.
Well, all the hard work's finally starting to pay off.
Yeah, you just don't expect it when those anglers are so good and 3 in a row. I might have expected to maybe win, once or twice, but 3 times and then all in a row. No, I never saw this coming. And then out of a new boat that I designed, that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's
the right time to do it. Yeah.
From a marketing standpoint, this doesn't work out any better. Like,
no,
it's almost like it was written up this way. Like,
it's man, I give credit to God for sure. It's got to be him and some divine intervention. I mean, he's taking care of myself and the family. Kayak fishing tournaments have really helped get me by during the development of this boat from Crescent, because Crescent doesn't really have a lot of money to pay me anything when we don't have a boat that to start making money on. So haven't really had anything, to live on other than these tournaments and what sponsors, I'm blessed to get paid from some sponsors. And between that and the tournament winnings, literally I've been scraping by. I mean, scraping by. The real story behind this, if there was ever a book written, it'd probably be a lot about faith and just miracles and how God just keeps, it's crazy. I mean, look at even Jackson, look at a goose attacked me and it made a viral video occur before the Coosa was going to, it was a little bit further before, maybe like almost a year before, but it made that whole thing go viral, which drew attention to Jackson and who I was. And people then, of course, realized and Googled, like, okay, this guy is not just some random dude. He actually knows. If you look at all my other YouTube videos back then, they were like, oh, he actually knows a little bit about fishing, what he's doing. And I don't see this
where you are now. Like, look where kayaking and kayak fishing is now. Like, absolutely. Like, no one thought it would get this far.
No, not at all, man. And I don't take any of this for granted. I know how life is. We all have our ups and downs, and it's. I don't get too high right now because I know that the next turn could be another valley, and so I don't know. I just try to stay a little even keel when it comes to this stuff. But I'm definitely just. I don't know. I'm a little just blown away by the timing of it all, and the fact that it's just happened the way it's happened. It's just,
I was gonna say, saying what you said about the going scraping by, doing it on like, relying on this stuff, and then now releasing of your boat which, I mean, as you said, now you have a product that you can, make some money on, and, and then it going into the tournament, everything, it's like your stride in tournament fishing and this, like, there's no better timing of it. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
It is, man. It's really cool. So
like I think about it from like another athlete, like when Jordan was on his reign and his shoes came out or something like that. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
Like, it's something similar. I mean, that's
a good one.
Totally. But it's something like that,
it's
crazy. But we'll get into it. So like you said, you were second in Champlain at Hobie last year. So obviously you had some history. So tell us how you went into, your practice and going up there, just your whole pre-fishing bit.
So what's cool last year, so here's what I love about kayak fishing tournaments. They will take you to places. Sometimes you get a chance because we have so many national trails. They go to so many stops, and I only do like 12, 13, 14 a year. So I have to pick the ones like, where do I want to go fish? What's most exciting? Usually it's new bodies of water. That's what gets me most excited. This Wolf and Fox River, Hobie, can't wait. Stuff like that. Lake Winnipesaukee, coming up for Hobie and KBF's there too. I might be there for KBF. Lake St. Clair, never fished that. I get excited about that. And Lake Champlain was the first time last year, but because of COVID and some other restrictions, I'm not sure why, Vermont didn't allow Hobie not the license, a permit for tournament. So we had to launch only from New York. So New York was only in play last year, unless you wanted to paddle across the entire lake, which I think Cody Milton and Eric Siddiqui did, and they about killed themselves. But but anyway, it was like 6 or 7 miles, I think, to get across, or maybe it was 11. I don't know, something crazy. But
what was that? The guy that won it with that beaver, the beaver chopper?
Well, yes, last year. Yep, that was it. Travis Von Neumann won with
he flipped
Berkeley
over
beaver,
twice,
and he flipped.
That was a Berkeley beaver. Yep.
So Lake Champlain was awesome, but I only got to experience the New York side. So I was excited because there's a lot of willing, to eat fish there, willing feeders, I should say, and I had never fished the Vermont side because it was off limits last year. So to me, it's still kind of a new lake. This is going to be fun. I get to go explore some new stuff. And that's what I did. The first in pre-fishing, I explored Vermont, some backwater, some rivers, and I found some pretty good fish over there and some spots and some moving water. And then, so I felt good, after day one of pre-fishing. I'd hooked a couple 18s at one spot, then I quit fishing. Same thing, go to another spot, hook a couple like that, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, and then I quit fishing. So, and actually would pull the bait away from some. It was some of the water was kind of clear, so I would just jerk it away. I said, "Oh, that's a big one." Left them alone. And then next day pre-fishing, it was rainy, and I had my history in my head from the year before, and drove over, looked at it, but it was raining. I just rigged up, relaxed, took it easy, got organized, just really just rested because I knew I was going to need every bit of energy for this tournament day. And then the final day of pre-fishing, I actually went and explored a little bit more. That rainy day, the afternoon, I was able to go to one of my New York spots just to kind of like float it and look at it and see if I can get bit again. And I got 19 something and then just left. I mean, I fished a little bit further down, but it just wasn't really feeling there's like a zone, and there's like a zone they were kind of hanging in, and I don't know even how to explain it or all the reasons why they were there, but it's like that you wouldn't really get bit by big ones. You could catch some small ones further down or further upstream, but there's like this zone that the big ones were kind of hanging in all these rivers that I just sort of found. So then, and it's hard to find too, because sometimes it's middle of the river cast that it takes to find them. It's not like you're just throwing it at the bank, and you need to know how to read rivers and current seams and boils in the middle and stuff like that. So then the final day pre-fishing, I just expanded more on those Vermont side just to see if there's still good fish all the way up and down from the spot I found, or is it just right there? And dude, to my surprise, it was just the spot that I just stumbled onto already pretty close to where I'd put in. So I said, well, here's my game plan. I got all these places to go in moving water that are very small sections that the fish are in. And I'm sure it had some to do with spawning, why they were a little bit congregated, because some fish do, go up the river to spawn and or the river fish, they will congregate together. I know that from shoal bass days. Shoal bass will like move to the biggest shoal complexes to spawn because they spawn in the shoals. So it's kind of like they all know this is the time of the year. It's kind of like Thursday night on a college town. Like we all know to go to this street. These are all the bars. We're all here. This is it. We know it. It's Thursday night, Friday night, whatever. So that's what these fish do, I believe. And that's kind of where I found several groups of them. So that was kind of the game plan, man. And I can, I guess, get into day one if you guys want me to.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Swing into it.
So day one, I get out there and I'm just throwing a plopper style bait. And, whether you take your pick, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they would eating a spook or plopper or chugger. It doesn't really matter.
It was the Guggen, wasn't it? It was the Guggen.
No, it was not the Guggen. I'll say that.
The revolver.
Revolver. Yeah. Yeah. You thought I was hiding it because I didn't want to be like embarrassed.
I'm a secret Guggen.
Fish a Guggen. No.
Yeah.
Never have thrown any Guggen baits, I will say. But but anyway, the plopper bait was working great. They were biting it really good. And I mean, even though I still lost some, but that's just part of topwater fishing. Doesn't matter what topwater, you're gonna lose them. I lost a few big ones. And then I can't remember it, man. I'm trying to think. All right, where did I go first? I got to figure out my head. I think the first stop I caught I caught a 20 here in practice at this spot, a 20 and a half, because I just uploaded it to the monthlies yesterday. And I went to the spot and I caught an 18 something and like another 18 and then or 19 something like that. There was like, and then a couple 17s. There was some good fish, I believe. Like I'm almost getting like confused now if that was day two, but I'm pretty sure I ended that spot with two that mattered. Yeah. Two that mattered. Let's just put it like that. I can't remember.
And you're right. If the two that mattered, you had a 20 and a quarter and a 19 and a half on day one. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, two that mattered like on my stringer. I think it was an 18 and maybe there was a couple 18s or maybe it was 18 and 19. I honestly, I could pull up my phone and tell you exactly, but because I have it all obviously
20, 19 and 3 18s.
Okay. So the ones I got there were, I'll tell you right here. The first place I went.
Oh man, has it down to a science.
That's pre-fishing. I want to get my tournament photos here.
That's all right.
All right. So the first place I went, I caught it at 18 and a half, and I believe another 18 and a half. So I was out of there with two. Looks like two good ones. Although it's funny, one of my fish got deducted for mouth open, and the top lip is literally touching the board, the top and the bottom. I'm like, I don't know what more I can do than like shove where they're both touching it and smash. And they
I'll say that some of the judges are just sticklers. Like,
and you only won.
It drives me nuts.
I mean, that could have been.
It could have been, but it didn't. It wasn't a fish that ended up on my stringer anyway. It didn't matter. It turns out it didn't matter. But I got a message, so I got those two fish, and then I went to. Let's see. So then I went to a different location, the second spot, and filled out my limit, and then caught all my other big fish came from that second spot. So we know 2 18 and a halves, and everything else was 18 and a half and up. I think 18 and a half was my smallest fish, but I had 3 that day. 3 that were 18 and a half, even though only one showed up on my thing. I had at least 3, and then some that were like 18 or 18 and a quarter that never mattered. But I caught lots of good fish. But so
what he's saying is he was on them, hanging a hashtag on them.
But I went to that second spot. I never moved. I pretty much had to think about how do you approach a KBF event, because this is my first one this year, and last year they didn't have the Pro Series combined, and I did some last year, but now it's like I'm in a 2-day tournament that's combined, and I'm in the single trail tournament that's 1 day. Do I burn it all down here, or do I save fish for tomorrow? And I decided I want to win this one event and just
guarantee a win.
Yeah, burn it all down. Yeah. And the other thing that made it easy was the fact that I have like many spots.
I was going to say, you've got way more area.
Yeah, I've got lots more. So I was like, I'm just going to go to town. And it was awesome having that feeling, knowing that I've got fresh fish tomorrow. I don't even need to come back to any of these first 2 places today.
Did you stick to the topwater game all day?
No, that's a good question there. I switched to a jackhammer, 3/4 ounce jackhammer with a a minnows trailer that was pearl with chartreuse tail, and I think you got a picture of that. You feel free to pull it up.
So a lot of current then, huh?
Yeah, some of these they got some rain. Remember that day it rained I was telling you about?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the rivers got kind of swift, and not all the sections, but some of them. Yeah, that's it right there.
And that you said it's a 3/4 ounce.
3/4 ounce, and sometimes
Wow.
I like that too in the current because I'm actually burning the baits pretty fast. And if you have a 3/8 or half, sometimes it gets on the surface and just doesn't really work right. I was burning them pretty fast, covering a lot of water. And sometimes if you're bringing it even like back upstream a little bit, that one works a little better because it's heavier. So there's just different situations that the 3/4 will work pretty good. So yeah, I was catching on that on both the plopper style and that bait on at my second spot. And I did catch a fair number of fish out in the middle and some fish because they utilize all different stuff. There's just like lakes, there's flats, there's sandbars, there's drop offs, there's rocky points and bends, there's creek mouths, there's everything, there's wood on the bank. And I did catch the big one that day. The 20 1/4 was off of the bank, but on a plopping style bait. But yeah, I mean, I just burned it down, ended up with 95, I want to say, and a half or something. And I thought to myself when the tournament started last year, Hobie, when I got second, Travis Von Neumann with the Beaver had 97 one day and 98 the next. And I don't know the point, whatever. It was 97 something, 98 something. And he took the best limit of both days and just smashed it. And I got second, and I had some pretty good limits, like this 95 range. And so I knew we needed to be around there because this is kind of the same time of the year. It's about 2 weeks earlier. Yeah. So I knew what that lake can put out. Plus I was looking at the local tournaments. They were getting one with 19 to 20 pounds a day. Convert that, you're looking at, 95 inches. So I decided, that when I had that, I thought, well, I probably didn't win. I uploaded my fish at the end of the day, and they leave the leaderboard on apparently this year. And so I just uploaded them, and next thing you know, I'm like first. And I uploaded, after lines out, and seems like most people had already uploaded because I did upload those first two just real quick, as I was driving, just kind of put them in. And then the last ones, they were biting, so I just didn't even upload. I was just going, trying to maximize time. And
right.
then because I knew I had good signal where I was at, so I wasn't worried about it. And then I was shocked that I was in first, and then it held up. You had to wait like an hour pretty much, but you wait and it held up, and I couldn't believe it because I thought surely somebody because there's more anglers in this tournament than were in the Hobie last year. Like surely somebody got 96, 97, 98, 99. I knew there's even 100 inches in that place, but nobody did. So I fortunately took the W. Actually, shout out to one guy got 97 inches, but he did not enter the Trail Series 1. He was in Pro Series only. So somebody did actually beat me that day. He was only in the Pro Series. And then he got 83 inches the next day in the Pro Series. So I feel for him because he didn't really end up. I don't think he was in the money in the Pro Series after the 83 inches day. But it's tough though. It's about $400.
You want to talk about go home and beat yourself up? Like,
yeah, but it is a lot of money to enter it all, and I get it. So you got to kind of pick what you think's the best. So anyway, that was it, day one, and that's kind of the deal.
That's kind of cool for you to bring up and talk about because a lot of 2-day tournaments is like managing your fish, making sure you don't fish yourself out of a day two. And that's one thing that's unique about the KBF setup is the 2 1-days. And then this year with the Pro Series going on during it, that is a big decision to make is like,
it is.
Is a 1-day win guaranteed? I don't want to say guaranteed. Is a 1-day win mean more to me than the 2-day Pro Series win, and I guess for each person it could be different, from a points standpoint, or if you have a shot at Angler of the Year, on the Trail Series side, right. I'm sure. But it's just, I feel like it's just an extra level of stress during it. Like it would have taken me is it a decision you came to pretty quick? Like, all right, I'm going to burn it down.
Yeah. It was like, no, not even a thought. I was like, I haven't even gone to some of my best stuff, and I'm
right
smashing them. So this is easy for me.
Well,
right
and
now.
I guess I'd be able to make that decision that quick too.
If you had that,
yeah. It's like, oh well, this was just spot 2 of 6. I've got plenty of fresh water. So
yeah, but if I didn't, but I'll go ahead and fast forward and we'll jump back to the beginning of day 2, but I'll fast forward to the very end of the second day. I went back to that second spot where I did the most damage on day 1. And this is actually to kind of prove your point of this decision. I don't think I caught hardly anything there. I mean, I caught fish, 16s, 15, 16, 7, maybe one that was 18. Actually, one was 18 because it was right at 129, right before lines out, one minute before. I thought maybe I'd cold one more time, but it was only 18. But the point is, when you burn them down to the ground and you catch everything and you just make them so aware of your presence after fishing it so hard, and then you go back another day, plus, if you got local boaters and traffic to contend with potentially as well on the weekends, especially, and they have hammered it, you can't catch them. I mean, in the spots where I caught them and really caught them, it wasn't there. And the ones that were, I caught a few, they weren't big. I don't know if they just wise up, and I tried different baits. That's the thing. Yeah. So I know I've caught the same fish twice before. And I know I've caught, just at Raccoon Creek Outfitters a couple weeks ago, I was there for a camp out, and Clayton Hask, it was a Buckeye kayak fishing tournament trail. I was just there to camp out with my son, having fun, right? And be there to give away a crescent that we gave away and to support Raccoon Creek. And just, that's where I go to just to chill and have fun. Cause it's such a cool shop. It's farmhouse barns. It's on the creek. It's camping. It's just food. It's amazing. Good times, relaxing with the sun. But I got out on the water with him for 2 hours, and I caught a 16.5-inch largemouth, which is a big largemouth for that creek and that tournament. Trust me, big. And earlier that day, Clayton Hask had floated down that creek, and we were talking about it. He said, "Oh, I caught like a 16.5-inch largemouth." I said, "Me too. That's cool, man." We get to looking at our pictures later. I was like, "Hey, wait a second, man. What section did you do?" And he's like, "I was right here." And I was like, "Me too. Let me look at your fish photo." The exact same largemouth ate at about 8 or 9 in the morning when he floated by, and when I floated by, it ate again on a spinnerbait. And so we caught the same fish. So anyway, it's possible.
I have a question. In KBF, if you do all 3, day 1, 2, and the Pro Series, if you catch one day 1, then you go back and catch it day 2 for the Trail Series, does it count both days, but it wouldn't count for the Pro Series the second time?
That's correct. It would not count for the Pro Series, but it would count for the Trail Series.
Wow.
Well, that's confusing.
I believe that's what they said. Although that is a little bit odd, because what's to say someone didn't keep that fish? You know what I mean? But it is a separate tournament, so if you actually catch it again, you kind of should get credit for it. But either way, my whole point was, you can catch and release works, and you can catch fish. You can't catch fish in multiple days back to back, or the same fish. But big smart ones, not as easy. It's just not, man. 13, 14, 15 inches, whatever. It's not easy, and it didn't work. So it's a good thing I made the decision I did to just clean that place out the best I could. And anyway, we'll get to day 2 if you guys want.
I mean, I would have probably done the same thing. I don't think that was a bad move at all. I mean, we would be talking a different story if spot 3 through 6 or whatever were a bust. Yeah.
But are you surprised? Like, out of all this, I mean, let's not argue, and let's say you're in the top 5. I mean, that's without argument. Anyone would say that, just for the sake of not arguing. I'd say you're number 1. But
thanks, man.
Are you surprised that there aren't more people trying to model your success and do? Obviously they can't do what all the skill and the knowledge and the years of putting in the work on the creeks and everything else that besides that. But if more people try to model themselves after you and they show up to the same areas, some of those places can't support enough fish.
No, they
for
can't.
One great angler and one okay angler.
No, it's true. They can't. I mean, I think people are, and they do, and it's what you just said. Some of them, like Jordan Marshall's a good example. He's Travis Von Neumann, who, even though he was fishing the lake, he fishes a lot of rivers. Lance Cooley's one of the best at it. I mean,
Lance is so good.
Freaking amazing.
Y'all are cut from the same cloth. Too.
We are. Totally are. That's why we're such good friends too. We kind of get it. And there's other people that do that kind of style. Tim Perkins, there's good anglers. And then, your Russ Snyders and your Cody's and Christine's, Guillermo's, that they're a little bit more versatile, but you do see them in
step their
moving
toes
water as well. Yeah. And that's the beauty of our sport. You can you can win. I've always said this: the best lake angler, offshore lake angler, the best bank lake angler, whether you're dock skipper or whatever, laydowns, and the best river creek anglers, all three equally, if you went back and looked at the data, are probably win at an equal rate, like 33%, 33 in terms of wins. It's not dominated by one style. And that's one reason, like maybe you don't see more people trying to model what I'm doing, because it's not overwhelmingly, because if you look at all the other river anglers, yeah, we've had some good ones, but no one's like kind of tended to dominate it like the run I'm on. So, and that just, again, it feels awkward even saying that.
And I think that a lot of that is like, there are people that, like you said, like Lance and, that can do it. And I think maybe they're not, I don't think that there is that many people that are that good in the skinny water that take it as seriously as you do. Like in the competitive national, maybe a lot of, and that's just my opinion, just because I think that the people that come to my mind, like you said, like Russ and Christine, and people that can excel in backwaters, moving waters, and stuff like that, they're so versatile that they approach it differently. Mm-hmm. I just don't think there's that many, like, and I don't want to say one track minded in a bad way, but like,
it's a good way.
There's not that many people, I think, on that level that come in and have the mindset like you do. Like, this is, like, they look at it and they're out maybe looking at a map like, main lake and secondary lake points and ledges, and where you're like, where's the craziest backwater I can find?
Yeah.
And I just don't think there's as many people in the national scene on that level of that style, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. And then, like, it also, back to Dan's point, I think it's combined with that plus the fact that, people are trying to model, and some people will, and I think that's great. That's just, it is what it is. It's I guess a compliment too to somebody. I model other people. I model, John Cox is like that.
I say John Cox.
I mean, he doesn't have a graph. And that's what made me realize you can be successful, and us at the kayak fishing level, we honestly, none of us are on the water 250 days a year, like the MLF guys and the Elite Series, nobody. And even in that highest level, you only have a handful of names you can think of that actually are good at all of the styles we just talked about. And that would be Brandon Polinick, Jacob Wheeler, where you say, dude, I could see Polinick winning on electronics. I could see Wheeler obviously winning on electronics, but I could see, and he has, and they have, I can see Polinick winning in current, up shallow, and he has, and Wheeler winning, skipping docks. I think last year he won in Texas doing that with a white swim jig or whatever. And so maybe it's like Travis or something. I don't know what it was, but he wins shallow, wins deep, he wins in current, he wins with electronics. But who of us has that much time to actually get that good and then know when to go where that good when you got a few days to practice? MLF's crazy, 1.5 days or whatever they got. I mean, that's insane. So we're not. And so I realized I'm going to put all my efforts in who I am, backwaters and rivers and creeks and places that, and what's funny is people have started to model and mimic, and you do see more people kind of trying to do that, but they don't have, not yet. They're going to get there, the experience and the time in the water. You're going to make the mistakes first before you learn from them. And then it starts to equate into some runs like I have now, right? It takes a lot of time, many, many years. This is all I've done for so long. I got married when I was 35. So guess what I was doing from when I was single the whole time, right? Just fishing rivers. That's it. And creeks, moving water. So, and not that I can't do well in lakes, because I won, Grand Lake on a lake, but I'm going to look at that stuff first. You know what I mean? The skinny water and the river moving water and places that are kind of challenging. But here's what's funny. I've seen people start to do that, and I now am predicting and guessing, okay, well, that's too obvious of a small little sneak hole backwater place. Somebody else is going to be there.
Or it's too easy.
So I go, it's too easy, and I go find something else
harder.
And so here's what's crazy. I found some stuff this time. Never saw another kayak angler. Nobody knows where I was at. Anybody could have. I mean, my roommate does. The one guy stayed with Jason, and he's a good dude, and he's obviously going to keep it between us. But so, and obviously the tournament directors, with the results they know, but no one really saw me. I never saw anybody, because I'm a little bit I don't know, and maybe not too much, but I guess I hear the elite guys saying the same thing. Like Brandon Lester he won on Pickwick, and he was like, man, on day one, I caught this much and I've freaking bolted out of there. I did not want anyone to see me where I was. I'm kind of like that. I'll park my truck somewhere where you never see that somebody's at that access. You know what I mean? I just kind of keep it hidden.
Well, and something
then I
to
leave
like
as soon as I
Dan's,
catch a good one. What's that?
It's something like Dan said though. Like when you're fishing, like I like skinny waters and backwaters. Part of the reasoning for doing that is, like Dan said, is they can't hold fish for two people a lot of the times.
That's right.
Like I love fishing with people just as much as the next person, but like when I go into a local tournament and we're gonna do like a moving water thing or a backwater thing, if a buddy of mine's like, "Hey, can I go?" I mean, it's a local thing, so I don't care. But like right then, I'm like, "Well, there goes that chance of winning." Like,
yeah,
because now we're splitting fish.
Yep.
So,
and I've actually had that conversation with Lance one time. We both did really well in a tournament. I think he might have got third. I might have got fourth. And we split some water and we talked about it. We both had kind of found the same stuff. We talked it out and who was going to go where, so we could have a chance. Both of us have a chance to win. And we talked it out and worked it out. It was great. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of nuts when you start thinking about the little sneaky stuff you have to do, because you're right. You can't win some of the areas. You can't win, which is why you need to have a plan B, C, D, and E. Because it's why I'm so nervous, because I don't catch a lot of fish pre-fishing. Once I catch a good one, or I just see that the conditions are right, I'm gone. Because we just talked about why not to do that. Because I went back on day 2 to the exact same place I burned it down on day 1, didn't catch them. So thank God in pre-fishing, I don't do that. And it's hard because you have to know, well, how do you know they're winning fish there if you don't catch them? Well, I caught one that was good. And then I just, from the experience, right, the intellect from fishing rivers and creeks, like, okay, I know there's not just one because of X, Y, and Z factors, the life and the plant life and the bait life that I see, and the birds that are on the bank feeding on, bait fish or whatever it is, the vegetation, the current flow, the color, the clarity, whatever, temperature, all that is like, okay, that's my gamble. And then I'm going to give myself a plan B. If that doesn't work, then I'm going to be able to have a plan B to go here. Or if somebody shows up there, if it's a real small spot. Now, a lot of times I'm fishing moving water it's not small at all. You could be on the main Coosa River or something, and you got bass boats there and other kayak guys, and you just got to catch them because you know where they live in the river, and you just got to catch them. And they got bigger populations of fish anyway. But it's fun, man. That's what makes this sport so fun. Is the challenges, hiding your truck, and I catch a good fish and I peace out as fast as I can. That way, no one ever saw it. Because the second, man, the second somebody sees you, and then you post a picture or you win or you do something, they tell their buddy, I saw Drew's truck here. And they tell, and everyone, and somehow there's been tournaments where people reference like, oh, I remember when you were at this place, and I never told anyone. No one ever saw me. I never saw anybody. And somehow I think someone had seen my truck, told somebody, and it is what it is, And
it happens. Like
you have to get some ghillie stuff to put over the Tacoma.
Yeah, I'm telling you, somebody else that's really good at doing that is Eric Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So people don't think of him as a heavy fishing competitor. I don't know why, because he's really good. But I remember KBF on Guntersville a few years ago. I was rolling down to one of my spots and just caught something out of the corner of my eye and stopped and backed up, and his Apex watercraft wrapped truck. I saw it in the woods, and I actually saw him walking through the woods with that Apex above his head, and I just was like busted out laughing and was like, this dude's serious. Like it just kept going. Never told anybody the spot or anything, but it's just he's on that level too.
I thought about this a lot today, because I usually don't listen to KBF before we do our show whenever we're going to have same guests, because I don't want to ruin things, because I always listen to KBF like most people. But today I did, because I really there's some questions I really wanted to ask. I've heard you quote Brian Thrift before, so you obviously follow his career. And I thought about it more. I don't mean this to to blow smoke or try to, I don't mean it as pop-ups on my computer. Oh my Lord, go away. I don't want to update. Sorry. But it's so much different. But the more I thought about it, your style is so much KVD and Brian Thrift, where it's a lot of moving baits. You're really, you cover as much water. You cover more water than probably anybody else if it's in your truck or in your kayak. The moving baits, the moving a lot, and just your mindset of trying to find the fish that are, that are active feeding.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how you can relate that from a boat side and the style that they fish to kayak side, and somebody who does it a lot of times in skinnier water and they do it on lakes. But man, your style is so much like theirs, right?
It really is. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but you still have to always keep in mind that you're always going to fish the moment, and the moment on Grand Lake, for example, and I won the first one of the run here. I had a plan B. I had other places to go to kind of like milk run, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But I stayed in this one little spawning pocket that was a couple acres in size all day, never left. And I wasn't like but it's because they were there. You know what I mean? I didn't like, you got to know you got to understand the bass well enough to know like, okay, fish are continuing to come in here, spawn, plus like I knew everything. I knew how much I needed to win because based on the weights that were winning and all that stuff, and said, I'm not going to leave these fish to go find other fish that are smaller. And there's just no point. I was just catching too many good ones. Yeah. So I stayed, but most of the time you're right. I like to have a milk run. I like to have a game plan. I like to cover a lot of water, use a lot of moving baits. I throw pretty much everything's a medium heavy rod. I change my lengths depending on where I am fishing, because in a skinny small water, I go down to 6'7" rods, like 13 fishing, little 6'7", just little roll cat. You can do little teeny stuff, but this tournament, for example, I had a 7'6" medium heavy to throw the plopper style bait as far as I could when I wanted to make those long casts to stay very, like
stealthy.
Yeah. So, and then everything else was 7'3" except for that one rod, but still I'm making pretty long casts, but I wanted some to be a little bit more accurate. So I went down with the chatterbait, the spinnerbait, stuff like that. And so it's so situational, but you just got to have the knowledge of the bass, what they're doing. And because this tournament, I did make a lot of casts and move fast for sure, but I didn't cover as much water. I just worked those zones really hard and fast, and then left to go milk run and cover another one with those zones similarly.
Describe the zones a little bit, like what you've kind of, I mean, without giving too much away, just kind of what you found.
I just found some stuff out in the middle of the river that I think they were holding on, some boulders or logs, stuff like that. Some drop offs, some like sandbars, some drop offs, some they were making some pretty cool and unique current seams. You know what I mean? Current seams are very important to see, where you got some slack water on one side, and they just were kind of in that area. The substrate was just kind of right for spawning, a little bit more, kind of sandy or gravelly in some of the areas. Every once in a while, just the river will get to a section that's got a little bit different bottom composition, where I think if those fish were all there for a reason, it was probably to spawn, like we talked about. And then I don't know if they were spawning quite yet. I think they were just still pre-spawn there, most of them. They're pretty fat. But they were just feeding up still before the spawn, because last year, 2 weeks later, in the Hobie tournament, I caught a fish off of a bed in one of these places, like a 17-something, and then a few other fish were on bed. So I think that maybe because the whole country seemed to be a week behind this year with the colder weather, that really it was like, I'm like 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks. It's like 3 weeks. Yeah. So I think they were pre-spawn, but then sometimes I'm not sure, man. I saw a little black fry a lot of times in some places, and I said, shoot,
maybe like one way.
Smallmouth.
Yeah. I think that from what I've seen all over, everything's just kind of all over the place, honestly. Like, obviously the northern half is, behind the southern half, but like we were, you had late spawners, and I mean, I can't explain how late some of these spawning fish are. So, like, I caught fish the other day that looked like they just came off bed, and it's been hot as hell down here. So, like, it's kind of crazy.
I've caught fish in middle Georgia before, in late May, in middle Georgia in a river on a bed. I remember I actually did an episode, Hooked on Wild Waters. You can go back and watch it, with Chad Hoover when he was on as a guest, and we were in middle Georgia, May, like late Memorial Day or whatever it was that weekend. And So if they're spawning there still that late, I mean, my God, I'm at the Canadian border pretty much.
And you started it.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely fish up there that have not spawned. So yeah, that was just kind of the zone. Had the right good amount of moderate current flow and not too deep. That's the other thing. It was shallow enough where I think they can spawn. It was a little shallower, and they were just there, and they're hungry for sure.
And that was consistent into your day 2 as well. Same zones showing out.
Yeah, it was. Day 2, I just went to the history in New York and found I missed several big ones in the morning on that topwater, and I was not thrilled, you know what I mean, at all, obviously. And I switched to actually a Project Z chatterbait, which this is a 1 ounce, but I was using just a 1/2 ounce. And I started throwing it in the same zones, just kind of burning it. And of course, when they hook up with that thing, that big, huge single hook, I mean, it's a bigger hook than the jackhammer. It's a bigger and longer hook than the jackhammer. So
yeah,
I use that for ledge fishing sometimes.
Yep, especially those bigger ones there, the heavier ones. But that's why I said, well, I'm over this topwater. If they're not eating it the same today, for some reason they're not getting hooked in pre-fishing. They were getting hooked pretty good, but to lose 3 or 4, I was like, that's it. I'm going to the chatterbait, and that's what I did. I threw it, got hooked up, caught a. That's the day I had a couple that were 17 in the morning first, and then I caught missed another big one out in the middle, and threw the chatterbait back out there and caught a 20 something, 20 and a quarter, I think. And so I had a really good fish. Now I was like, all right, that's a real good one for the stringer. I've got a 20 here and a couple of 17s. One of the 17s was pretty cool because it started busting some bait right near me. And I rip in my chatterbait. I just thrown a cast all the way out. Of course, that always happens. I rip it all the way back in and throw it right back out over to where that fish was busting. And I caught it. You know, it hit and I got it in pretty quick. So I had 3 good fish. And then before I left that spot, I wanted to hit an area that I missed some of the big fish. You know, I let it reset that whole time. I've probably been there an hour and a half. So now I'm going back to the initial spot where I'd missed a big one. I said, I'm going to go back with chatterbait and see if I can get, if those fish had reset, however many were there, that one or whatever. And I caught an 18 and a half on a chatterbait. And so I have 2 in my mind. I want my stringer to be 18s and up, right? Everything. No, that's what I need to win. So I got 2 out of that spot, a 20 and a quarter and an 18 something. Can't remember what it was.
18 and a half.
And then I left. Yep. Then I left and was going to go to the next spot. And I decided at the last minute, this is the cool part of the story. I just had a thought in the back of my head, just a still small voice, you know, and I really feel like it was just God kind of like saying something to me, like, you know, look, maybe go check that spot that I haven't even pre-fished at all. You know, last year I caught some okay fish there, but nothing like, you know, amazing, but some okay ones. Like, well, I haven't pre-fished it. And it's kind of on the way. Let me just look on the map real quick. So I pulled up my Google Maps, and it said if I was going to go there, I had to exit like at this next exit. And I look up, and the exit's right in front of me, and I just swerve off. I didn't miss that. I mean, I almost went through the grass, but not quite. You know what I mean? I had to just literally, it was that close. Just make a split decision, and I did it. And
I mean, how many other people are fishing that loose that they can not only ramp up, but then at the last second go to a different place where they hadn't even practice or anything? Yeah. I mean, look, man, there ain't nobody else fishing as loose as you.
Yeah, I was very loose. I was very loose.
It's amazing. It's a total compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I was pretty confident because what happened on day 1 and what I still had ahead of me, because I still am thinking I can still go back to that spot I hammered them at on day 1 and still catch good ones. And it turns out I couldn't. So, because I went there, we talked about that. But I'm at this point, I am very loose because you can breathe a little bit easier when, okay, I've got 2 17 somethings, an 18 and a half, and a 20. Because even if I had 17s on my stringer, you know, then that's still going to be a pretty good bag after I get one more good one fish, right?
Right.
So I'm feeling pretty good. And then I pull over there and it's not looking good. I'm not catching much, kind of small one, like a 16. And then, I mean, they weren't where I thought they were going to be. They weren't in the spots that they were last year. They weren't anywhere where I thought they were going to be. And then the last minute, I went into this one little area and just happened to hook an 18 and a half. So nothing like amazing, but good fish. And now I'm like, okay, now I got a pretty solid limit already. Need to get rid of a couple 17s. And just kind of drifting back to where I'd put in, and there was just this random boulder, and I threw a spinnerbait behind it, the sling blades, which you can pull up that graphic again if you want to show the sling blades, the 3/4 ounce sling blades with the same minnows trailer with the chartreuse tail, which is great for smallmouth and spotted bass. That chartreuse tail kicking is unreal on the chatterbait or the spinnerbait. But
minnows, huh?
Yeah, the minnows. It's a little bit shorter and compact, and I threw it over there, and it hit right at the boat. It came out from behind that boulder and just hit right at the kayak, and it was a 19 even. So now I'm like, okay, I just wanted to get one fish. If I can get one fish from any of the spots, then I'm happy. And I got 2 that were legit from the first stop, and now 2 from the second stop, and now I just have to get rid of a 17.5. And I've got a good total, kind of similar to what I had on day one. And it's early in the morning still. It's like 9 something, 10 maybe 9, probably 9 something. Which lines out's at 1:30, so we're not. It's not like lines out's 3:30. It's still, it's like almost middle of the tournament, but not quite, because we launched at 5:30 or lines in. So I go to a different spot now that I still hadn't. I fished in pre-fishing, but didn't fish on day one. So another spot that's been left alone, right? That I caught a pretty good one in, a couple good ones, 18 somethings pre-fishing. So I knew there's some decent sized fish there. I only caught 2 there, but that's because I also stopped fishing. When I caught 2 18s, I was like, enough is enough on pre-fishing. So I didn't fish it on day one, but I did on day 2. And I went in there and I caught, again, I don't know, not a ton of fish, but 2 that mattered. I caught a 20 on the jackhammer, 3/4 ounce jackhammer. Caught a 20-inch smallie. And because it's funny, I texted Bailey Egbert on my trip there, or I called him or texted him, I can't remember, and said I just need to get. I'm after another 20 now. I'm like, I'm going broke, looking for mega smallies at this point because I had a pretty good. And then I texted him when I left that spot, and I was like, got my 20 barely. If you look at the picture of that fish, I mean, it barely touches that 20. So I got it, and I got a 19 something or around 19 or 19.25 inch fish there as well. I believe it was 19.
Yeah.
So I have 2 like amazing fish from this spot to go along with the 2 really good fish I had already. And then that third one that's the fifth one that's like 18.5. So I got 90. This is where I already had, this is my limit. This is what I ended up with. Because I went to the spot I'd burned down on day one after that to fish the final last like hour and a half. And I didn't catch anything significant at all. So, that was it, 96 3/4 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
3/4 better than the day before.
Yep. Yeah, that's the one I think that barely touches.
I mean, that thing is like
line
like
it was a line burner. Barely.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was pretty crazy. The sling blade, the chatterbaits, the sling blades, they all kind of came into play. The top water, mix it up, and it was just a really fun event. I mean, I lost lots of good fish, like so many people did, but definitely was fishing loose, like you're saying, Dan. I was confident from the pre-fishing from the get-go that I had a very good chance to win this. I just never dreamt that I would win both of them or even one. I just thought surely I'll place it in the money if I can just catch the fish that I've seen in pre-fishing that I know are there.
Yeah.
And then I look at the Bass Nation standings from the 80 boat New York Bass Nation tournament. 19.5 pounds won it. And if you do the length to weight calculator, I had about like 20.5 and like maybe 21 on day 2, 22, somewhere maybe 21 one day, 22 the next day.
So take that, boaters.
So there you go. So I yeah. And I only say that to also say that the research before your event is very important, because then in pre-fishing if you're on the size you need to win, because you need to do the weight to length conversion. What is the maximum this lake can put out? And I also say that to say that people out there kind of like whatever. Some people are haters or they want to make comments about, well, you beat 80 something people or Grand Lake, whatever it was, 60 something. And I don't care what, like, I can't control how many other people. I didn't knock Iconelli when he won against 40 something people.
I disagree with that.
Yeah.
But with anybody saying that, because before the year, even whenever the trail comes out, you have to know what you're going to fish. All you can do is sign up. Like maybe you can say this year, okay, this year bass has reduced turnout, But I didn't know that whenever I was going to sign up, and I made my whole schedule. My sponsors gave me money based on which tournaments I was going to fish and everything else. From year to year, you might can say that, but not within a year.
That's right. Grand Lake was on Easter. Like that. It was like Easter, wasn't it, or Mother's Day or Easter weekend? It was Easter weekend.
Easter weekend.
So it was a bad scheduling on them on that part, and they know that. The other big tournaments were kind of scheduled right around it, but I set up my schedule just like you said. I want to have enough events in each of the series to be able to qualify for the championships and the AOYs, right? So I have to fish 4 of those, and I missed the Lake Fork because our daughter was born and she was like 2 months old at that point or whatever. It wasn't going to leave my wife, with 3 dogs and a toddler and a newborn that early. So I knew I had to fish all the last 4, and so like you said, I'm going there. I don't care who else signs up. And there, even still, there's a lot of hammers. I mean, Justin Largent and Garrett Morgan and Mark Edwards and Eric Siddiqui. Like, there's a lot of sticks that are in all these tournaments. Regardless, they're paying a lot of money.
I think too much of that gets overlooked, and I feel like that's what's going to hurt the sport overall. Is you're saying that when someone says, "Well, that wasn't the same thing as beating in a field of 190." I mean, you're saying that like you said, some of these anglers, maybe you don't know their name, but they are great anglers.
Oh yeah,
like you said, like Justin Largent. Yeah, like
they're confident they can win.
I don't know. There's too many people caught up on that whole number half. I mean, I do agree there's bad scheduling, but I think too many people get caught up on that actual number and be like, "Oh, nobody showed up." Well, there's a little more to that story, whether it was scheduling or whatever.
For you, there might be one of you fish bass events. If you win a bass event, a lot of times your sponsors are going to know, oh, you won a bass event rather than a Hobie or a KBF. And Hobie, every one I fished is perfectly ran. I love Hobies. They probably have the best trail. There's no argument against that, but
their name is nothing on Bassmaster.
There's other reasons to fish other trails.
That's why I do the Bassmaster. I mean, that name, I grew up with that magazine, that brand. I love it. And they promote their anglers so good. I mean, I've been on Ronnie Moore's podcast. I've been on Bassmaster. And I know that not all the guys that won maybe have or whatever, but I know Ronnie Moore had on Justin and Eric Siddiqui on that same podcast with me. So the columns they put on their website, and I am doing this more full time, right? That matters to my sponsors. That stuff matters, and they do know the Bassmaster name. Yeah. Some of them, it's not a knock on Hobie or KBF. It's more the knock on the marketing directors for these other companies than it is Hobie and KBF. But they don't know what that means to win the AOI for Hobie. They don't really know what that means in terms of the value that I'm bringing to them. But they know that what Bassmaster is. So that's why I do Bassmaster, because the cloud is there, and that matters for me. That'll help me with my sponsors and with all the media coverage, because they do the best job. I think one of the best jobs, at least, right? If not the best, one of the best jobs of covering really well and getting us a lot of exposure after a win. They do a good job at that for sure. I got a lot of press.
I think the biggest argument that everybody has is it's just not as much as they think it should be for who and what they are.
Yeah.
And they think that it should all happen now. And I've had the argument forever. I've argued it with people in our podcast. I've argued it with people outside. Like, Bassmaster is an established business. We have to prove our side before it matters to them. Like,
right.
And that's what you don't have to do with Hobie and KBF, because their brand is based around this. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's an argument I can't stand having, because from my side, I don't understand why people don't get it. Like, I feel like it's very obvious, but some people's mind don't work like that. No. So it's just an argument I dodge.
Next year, I know there's going to be some changes. I can't really talk about them, but there's going to be some really good changes, I think, for Bassmaster next year. And I'm still positive and a proponent of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I love all the trails. I want to fish them all.
Oh,
because if you're trying to make a living or earn money in this, you actually need to be if you at least focus on 2 of them, you know, but if you can do all 3, then you can qualify for the championships in all 3, which means the biggest payouts in all 3. Right. And then the AOYs have some monetary value, if not monetary value, even more so with sponsors and clout and media coverage. So you need to be trying to do all 3. The problem is it's not easy, especially when you're trying to do almost the minimum, of the minimum on Bassmaster for me. And again, I'm just fortunate to have had a great run during that minimum. I need one more good one at Pickwick to take that AOI title for Bass, but and then do the minimum for KBF, and then like maybe 1 or 2 over the minimum for Hobie. And it's tough because you're competing against some folks that maybe are just focused on one, and they have a lot of mulligans, and I've got like none. But anyway, the cool thing I will bring up about all this is, and this is the thing I'm probably most excited about and most proud about, and I don't really listen to like people out there hating and talking stuff, like when they're talking about you, then
they're
like
talking about you.
Yeah, like what I mean, that's where you want to be, the guy that people are like talking about, like
I can't remember who it was that says it, but I know Chad Hoover has said it, but there's no bad publicity.
Yeah, right. It's like obviously I've done something for them to be talking about me, and that's so I'm too busy to get involved online and all that stuff. I got family and whatnot, so and it doesn't bother me that people and I get what they're saying. If I won against less people. Yeah, sure. In some of the tournaments, but there's also been less people than this in other tournaments, and there's been more, and I've won it against more too. So I was second out of 500 people in the national championship in 2019. Like I definitely don't dodge. I know someone took it like kind of out of context, a comment I made about I was going to fish the KBF Potomac this year. Cause again, remember I'm only fishing the minimum KBF, like three weekends. If not 2, if I do good for the trail series, that's 2 events per weekend. So that's 4. So really to get 3 finishes, you need 2 weekends. I was going to do just 2. And I'm not sure now if I'll do 3 and add an extra one because the AOY for the pro series, if there is one, you may need 3 events. So now you got to do actual 3 weekends. But anyway, they, I don't know what I was getting at, but basically the point is it's, they're talking, they can talk stuff. I just don't have time to get into it. I'm just scheduling it the minimum based on what I do. I can't control the number of people. And I go out there and I try to compete against the lake and what it puts out. And 90 inches, for example, 91.5 on Grand Lake, only 2 limits of the 300 bass boat tournament the 2 days before us, Thursday and Friday, there was a championship because we had that ramp Bassmaster did. So they could not have the tournament championship on Saturday and Sunday. So it was Thursday and Friday. They chose 300 boats. They wanted to go before us. 2 boats had a limit of 20 pounds or more, a 20-pound limit and a 23 another day. And I knew that what I had was 20 pounds, and that's out of 600 limits. So I don't care how many people are in the tournament. I was competing against the lake the whole time, and I'm going to feel good about if I got beat by somebody else in our tournament, I would have felt just fine because I said, dude, I freaking just got 20 pounds. And out of 600 limits, only 2 people had 20 pounds or more. So congrats.
You did the best you possibly
shake their hand. Yeah. And I won by whatever it was, 7 or 8 inches in that tournament. But that's what I care about. I'm so far beyond even worrying about the other people and how many people and what they are doing.
That's what you have to be and what too many people get caught up with. Any name you throw out in any fishing of any level, they have bad days. So it doesn't matter. Like you can't say, in my opinion, you can't say, well, you won, but you didn't compete against the best anglers. Well, I could compete against the best anglers, and this day beat the piss out of them, and the next day they beat the piss out of me. Like it's how things set up where you're, where everything falls in place.
Yep.
And then for all the haters that would have because I mean, I hear it too, but for anybody that would say that like, okay, he's winning and not competing against somebody. Well, if that's your standpoint, grab your shit and go beat him. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
like put it out. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
I just look. I get the argument. It's not totally invalid, but I just, I don't like that. It takes away any luster off what you've done. That's a part.
And that's anybody that wins.
Actually, I'll bring up Lance again. Do you remember the AOY standings? What is it that he came up with for? Is it Iron City or which one?
Yeah,
of those
for
local
us.
clubs?
Yeah.
Your AOY standings actually is the smartest thing ever because it doesn't go by 1 point increment based on, like, for example, a 20-something event person for KBF. What was that? Laurel River Lake.
Yeah,
had a low turnout. They've had good turnout. Some of them have been low, and they're all for different reasons. Whatever. But you get the same AOY points, I believe, for the person who got 20th there. If the Kissimmee tournament at the beginning of the year that had 100 and something. 20th place, you had to beat 100 something people to get 20th. You got the same AOY points as the last place person did over there. Well, Lance came up with a good idea, and he said it's all about the person who wins sets the bar for that day, get that limit, and everyone else. Let's say someone had, in this tournament, there's a perfect example. They had just a quarter of an inch below me, so they would get. It's some calculation where they get AOY points based on how close they were to that top score. So they get a ton of AOY points. Now, if you win by 8 inches, the person below does not get just 1 point different than the person who won. They didn't even come close to the benchmark. So it's actually smarter to do it that way.
I know, but
honestly.
Because in Iron City, I've got first, second, and like 17th, and the 17th has killed me. It put me way out. Like I'm 5th in Angler of the Year because of that, even though I got first and second. So.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like about what you do against that fishery, what that lake can put out. And if you do a good job and 10 of you really just smash it and do a good job and you're very close then man, you almost all deserve the credit, regardless. I don't care if there's 10 people in the tournament. If you max out and catch 20 pounds on a lake that, 90 something inches, whatever, a lake that was only giving that up to 300 boat tournaments, you did your freaking job. And that's not easy to do. It doesn't matter how many other people are there. So the thing that I was actually kind of smiling about that I forgot about that I'm most proud about, and this is really like the coolest thing when I look back on it, was I thought about this run I've been on, and I'm considering the KBF 1 win, even though it's like technically a Pro Series win, a Trail Series win, and Trail Series that's like 3, but whatever. I'm considering it, obviously it's one location, but think about this. I went to the central part of the country in Oklahoma and won catching largemouth. And then the next tournament I entered was in Bassmaster at Lewis Smith Lake in Alabama catching Alabama bass, this Alabama spotted bass in the Southeast. And then I went to the Northeast in Lake Champlain and won on smallmouth bass. And I was more proud of that when I look back at this run than anything. I said, dude, that's so cool, because you can argue that, man, winning, the total number of people I've beaten is the same number that was at Chickamauga, at Hobie. But dude, you go try to go find winning fish somewhere, freaking hard. I know it's like, seems easy right now with the run I'm on, but it's not. It's so hard. Okay, then go find them alone. No one's there, or execute, beat the other people and catch them better than they can. If you're sharing fish, whatever, execute, land those fish, get them in, win. Super difficult. Then go to another part of the country, different species, do it again. Find winning fish, execute, land them, do it. And then go to another part of the country with another species of bass, do it all again, execute, win it. It's like, dude, if anyone has anything to say after that, I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, you're just looking for
I feel like their argument's invalid.
You can take off your headset and just mic drop that right there. Like,
could have literally just ended the podcast right then.
Yeah, clip that for your Instagram post to promote this podcast. I mean, no doubt that was the proudest moment for me, and it just kind of just summarizes all we talked about. This is all a culmination of, my experience and traveling the country, and my life and my life's work, studying these fish, understanding when, where, why, and how they are there, and what they eat, and how to catch them the best, and making the right decisions, and just, man, it's just cool, man. I'm super blessed. Thank you, guys.
No, man.
Well, dude,
we're glad to have you in here to talk about it, because it is, I don't care who looks at it in what way, it's remarkable for all the reasons you just said. Different species. I mean, the biggest thing is the execution of it all. So we appreciate you giving us some time and hopping on with us to talk about another stellar weekend that you had, for sure.
Anybody you want to shout out before you go, besides so you can go back to your wife and her birthday?
Man, she's already in bed, and that's good for her, because she needs some rest with the baby always waking us up in the middle of the night. But obviously, it's her birthday, so shout out to Christina. She holds it down while I'm gone, and it's not an easy task. It's harder than what I do, although both are definitely exhausting and difficult. When I get back from a trip, we're both exhausted, and I'm like, well, I'm exhausted, you're exhausted. It's like, we need a break. But thanks to all the family for all the support, all the fans out there that watch and follow along, and all the folks at Crescent. Man, this Crescent Shoaly, probably didn't really touch on that a lot on this podcast, but that new kayak was awesome on the entire trip, and it's everything I dreamt it would be when I designed it. It's perfect in every way. I mean, moving spots, using the rod saver real quick, just throwing it down, throwing the back of the Tacoma and going. I saved so much time. Like I said, one day I caught a fish at 129 and lines out was 130. So every little second that boat saved me, it allowed me to catch one more fish. It didn't matter, but it could have mattered, right? And so great boat. And I'm glad people are enjoying that so far since the release. And then just Real Tree Fishing's my headline sponsor. AFCO's new this year as well, so appreciate their support. And Benny Branches, Z-Man. I just kind of like to mention a lot of the main ones, and then everybody just follow along with, Drew Gregory Fishing on YouTube. Pretty much everywhere it's Drew Gregory Fishing. And I'm not like a huge social media guy. I don't post like all the time or every day, but when I do, I tag my sponsors and kind of at least share with you guys what I'm using. 13 fishing rods. I talked about the rods earlier, so follow along, and hopefully I can help some other folks learn how to catch these fish pretty good. But we have a weird sport, man. I'm not ready to divulge everything. Like I said, I'll do some seminars in the winter to people who want to save some money and time by learning it from me instead of learning it the hard way like I did, and just with time on the water. But happy to do
sign
that.
me up.
But I will. Yeah, no doubt, man. I'd love to have you, but I'm glad and happy to, of course, share enough to get people on the right track and not give them too much on podcasts like this. Let's give them enough where they can, at least learn something and get out there and try to just
figure out the rest of it,
the puzzle on their own. Cause that's part of the fun that it was for me too. Solving it and figuring it out on my own is definitely something I love to do. So, and that's why I love new bodies of water. So it's a new puzzle to figure out. And that's the exciting part. I mean, honestly, the map study and all the anticipation before the event is probably more fun to me than the actual events.
Sounds the same way.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, you guys, I'll thank Paddle and Finn. You guys have been amazing. I always love your support, and you guys are great, man. Thanks for everything.
Dude,
yeah,
did you see they got a new Blippy? There's a new Blippy.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's not going to be the same. Never be the same.
No, it's some other.
Yeah, my daughter is going to watch the
new
Blippy, and she'll never know about the old Blippy.
New Blippy sucks.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be the same ever again. But hey, maybe I should just go back and do that as my second career, right?
Dude, you should get on what's that thing where you can have people do like a voice message or something for you?
Oh yeah. Just get paid
where they pay you a couple $100
and
to do
like voiceovers
for kids. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you can have Gary Busey read something to your friends or something.
Yes.
Break up with your girlfriend for you. You should get on there and be like, floppy or something.
Hey, I will shout out the last thing to KBF. This is my first event this year. I will say their trophy is freaking huge. It's heavy. It's amazing. I mean, thing, it's made with catch boards all around. It's all catch boards. So huge shout out to KBF. They ran a great tournament, and it's real professionally done. So great job to everyone there. The whole team behind the scenes, from Chad and everybody all the way down, Amanda and the folks that were running the scoring, and Craig Storms, who ran the event on site. Big shout out to them. And we talked about the Bassmaster stuff as well, but so I want to shout them out and Hobie, all the trails. They do a great job. They work so hard. We couldn't have these opportunities if it wasn't for them. So, we like to give them a hard time online, I'm sure, with how they do this or that and the small little things. But man, if you're making a decision on what trail to fish based on how it's run, I mean, honestly, it's really the locations and the water. Like that's really, they're not doing anything on, it's like no one's serving 5-course meals and putting your lodging up and all this stuff. It's not, so I don't know, just stay positive, guys, and things continue to change and evolve every year. They listen, and just stay positive and appreciate those guys, because they're working their tails off and it's exhausting on their end. So
I love them all, but Bass is 10 minutes from me. Like I want them to do well too. But
yeah, I want to see it all succeed.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you,
all right, guys.
Well, we appreciate it, brother.
Again for it.
See ya.
Keep the streak of love.
Yeah, Winnipesaukee. Hobie Winnipesaukee next. We'll see. It's like just a week and a half away. So
all right.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Later, man.
All right. See you.
Oh, sorry,
we both got him. Yeah.
All
right. Read off all these tournaments.
I gotta get my.
Dude, I'm so glad you read them and stuff, man. I will butcher some names.
So it's going to take a little bit longer. My wife is out of town on a work conference, so I'm doing this the old school way. So I've got 17 Tourney X pages pulled up right here, but I got it. So the Minyak Elite Trail Stop number 2, it's Chisago area lakes.
Sure,
we'll go with it. First place, Ryan Bonikowski with 91. Shane Olson, second place with 87.5. Nate Yunke with 87.25 for third. Next up, this was the one I was in. Coleman Kayak. I had this up just for other reference. Coleman Kayak Anglers event down on the Duck River Reservoir in Alabama. As we said before, chuck wise, 59 inches for 3 fish, anchored with the giant 22.25. Your boy Jimmy Skinner was right. I say right behind him by, about 5 inches back, 54.25. And the the Coleman King, Jesse Halverson, right behind me with 53.5. That was a fun one. Next up, we have I have no idea. Their name's not on it. I can't stand people. If you're listening to this, make sure your club writes out their abbreviations because some of them are obvious and some of them don't make sense.
Yeah, some of them it's tough.
I'm going to go with Georgia Kayak Fishing Lead on Hard Labor Creek Reservoir. 36 anglers, first place, Charles Shellnut with 82 3/4. Kai Wong, second, 80 3/4. Juan Chacon with 80 1/4 for third. That's a cool name. Next up is the Moyak event on Truman Lake. 89 anglers, first place, Troy Inke with 87. Second place, Lance Irwin with 82. Third place, Trevor Motzkus with 81. Going on from there, this is another event that was going on with that event. It was the team event that they were running, coincided with this. And these names are great. I'm going to go over a few of them just because they're good. So first place was the Burrito Banditos with 162.5 for the team. That's Troy Inke and Richie McMichael. Second place was the Como Crushers with 161 1/4. Third place was Shake and Bake with 150. There's some more great names. Slapping the Bass, Wet Hookers, honorable mention, Double D's, Bass Ackwards. I need to do a team event just to come up with a good name. This is awesome. The Wigglewort Warriors. Oh, I love that they're having fun with that. All right, moving on. We have the Kayak Anglers of Florida event down on Blue Cypress, down in Fellsmere. They had 29 anglers. First place, Chris Mitchell with 84 1/4. Second place, Chris Parker with 82 3/4. Third place, Craig Crumbliss with 79 1/4. That's a 5-fish limit, and I feel like that's a small limit for Florida fishing,
Yeah.
Especially down in that area. Next up's the Oklahoma Kayak Anglers event, Roadrunner event, actually. 58 anglers. First place, Danny Bowen with 96 1/4. Second place, James View with 95 3/4. And third place, Nicholas Key with 91. Next on the list, Midwest Kayak Bass Club out on Sturgeon Bay. 30 anglers in this one. Mang View with 99 3/4. Mang Lee, second place with 99 even. And third place, Chi Lee with 98 1/4. Big bags. 90 inches carried all the way down to 13th place, too. That's nuts. Next up was the Minnesota Kayak Fishing Association Memorial Tournament. I don't see where, but they had 76 anglers. First place, Albert Padilla with 91. Second place, Mark Kane with 89.5. And third place, Lauren Pribiel with 89.
Way to go, Lauren.
What he said.
I don't know.
Next up was the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club. Don't see where that one was at. They had 54 anglers. First place, Scott Brands with 80.5. Second place, Ronald Southworth with 79 1/4. And third place, Trev Stuckey with 78 1/4. Going on from there, we got the Socal Anglers event. It was in San Diego. It's on a bunch of different lakes, it looks like. 55 anglers. First place, Sonny Carrig with 94 1/4. Brandon Cabrales with 92 1/4. Third place, Cody Godby with 86 3/4. I was trying to take a peek to see if our man Shane Lamont was in on that one, but I don't see it. He don't want to get beat by his wife again. That's why. Next up, we got NYKBF, New York KBF on Cayuga Lake. They had 46 anglers. First place, Bailey Eigbert with 96. He's doing really good this year. Second place, Forrest Buchanan. Forrest Buchan with 93.5. Third place, Dan Hargrave with 89 3/4. Just a few more left. The Lake Watery event by Queen City Kayak Bass Fishing. This is our favorite ones to cover because it's the 4-fish limit and it's just different. So 94 anglers. They always have huge turnouts. First place,
we did 4-fish. It makes so much more sense.
You know that I put that out there when
I've tried.
NACA switched to 5 and was like, we could be different. But First place, Chris Goodwin with 67.5. Second place, Larry Wood with 67. Third place, Kyle Hancock with 63.25. Next up is the Kayak Anglers of Western Pennsylvania Battle at the Border.
Western PA.
Oh, wow. 102 anglers in that one. First place, Jeffrey Rabbit with 92.75. Second place, Aaron Ohl with 90 inches. Third place, Kenneth Morris with 89.25. That's a big turnout. Good job, guys. Next up's the Delaware Paddle Sport Kayak Bass Fishing Series. They were... Don't see it. But they had 31 anglers. Jacob Poling with 91.25. Second place, Thomas Linky with 87.5. And third place, Mickey... Forch. We're going to go with that. 84.75. Sorry if I butchered your name, man. All right, two more. So, actually, I think it's just one more. The Bluegrass Kayak Anglers had a statewide little get-together. They had 46 anglers. First place was Paul Averill with 96.5. Second place, Jared Matthews with 96.25. So, close finish there. And third place, Nick McGuire with 92. And that was all of our tournaments with over 25 anglers happening in the country this last weekend. I didn't hit the KBF again. We heard all about that and Drew's domination, but all close call. Well, the Pro Series was a blowout, but quarter inch each day made it or break it for him. So congrats to him again. Thanks everybody for tuning in with us and listening. It was a fun show. I know we got to talk about a lot of stuff. And the last thing I'm going to say, kind of going off what Drew said, if you're thinking about fishing tournaments, don't throw any of the tournaments out because of what you've heard. Only throw them out once something that happens affects you, man. Just go try them out. They're all good.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I don't want to get back into it.
Yeah. I'm not. That's why that was like a closing statement for me.
They're all three great.
That's right. All right. We appreciate everybody. Give us a like and a follow. Give Drew all the follow you can. Stay tuned next week. I'm sure we'll have another great show. We'll see you then. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You can support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures. Your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.